We shouldn't Christianize them. So there were all kinds of questions. And I think all of this is a part of the legacy of 1619. You got to understand 1619, Jamestown, and understand, in order to understand this legacy of slavery.
You had to do something to all of these black folks in order to make them slaves.
Exactly.
I mean, they were not born slaves, and you knew that they were not born slaves, but something has to be done in order to put them in a special class so that we can what? Make them slaves
and also
for life.
To justify it.
To justify
because
it.
After 1619, you had after the 1690s, when you had the statutory recognition of slavery in Virginia and Maryland, and later in other colonies, there was a need to justify the institution, and the Bible became a tool of pro-slavery propaganda. Because if you could point to the Bible and argue that God established the institution of slavery, that God meant for people, for African descent to be slaves, then you had justification that most people weren't willing to argue against. So all kinds of justifications. But we know the Bible was an important tool of pro-slavery propaganda.
And plus, it was understood that you could get some labor out of these Africans.
Exactly.
And you could get as much labor out of them as they could give. There's no limit in terms of what you can't have them do.
Exactly. See, but my problem today is that when not many of us look back to 1619 as an important date. Now, I went online and I saw that in Virginia, a lot of celebrations are going on this year at Hampton University. Hampton University alum by the name of Calvin Pearson has started this organization called Project 1619 Incorporation.
Oh, good.
Incorporated, rather, which is devoted to raising money for a memorial to commemorate August 1619 as the beginnings of African presence in America. And of course, at Virginia Union, you have events going on. Commemorative events, commissions are established throughout the state of Virginia, but nothing else is going on around the country. So I think it speaks to our lack of understanding of the importance of this day. We need to become more conscious about what 1619 means for the black presence in America as a whole, not simply in Virginia, but throughout the country.
Because it was from Virginia that they went from all across the continent of North America.
Exactly. And the irony is, in this year, 2019, you have problems like Governor Ralph Northam and the blackface controversy, the Attorney General in Virginia, Mark Herron, and the blackface controversy. It's ironic that 400 years later, as we celebrate the 400th anniversary of Virginia, that we got to deal with these kinds of problems. It's almost unbelievable.
That's right, still here.
Yeah, which means that we are still dealing with the legacy of Jamestown,
that's right.
which is about white supremacy, which is about racial polarization, which is about rigid class distinctions and poverty, the poor, which is about nativism and xenophobia. We are still dealing with that legacy and slavery.
That's right.
Yes. In 2019, we are still dealing with the legacy of Jamestown.
And I think it might be because people don't know, Dr. Baldwin. You know, I think the two of us are familiar with Jamestown, and I think we've demonstrated that in some states there are, you know, this information is available in classrooms.
Yeah.
But in many places, it's not available.
It's not available. And if you look at what's planned for this year, 2019, most of the events are in Virginia. They're having worship services, Black History extravaganzas. They're having exhibitions, prayer vigils, candlelight vigils. All of this is happening in Virginia. And black churches have become involved in Virginia. But when you look beyond Virginia,
that's right,
at the other states in the Union, you find essentially nothing. And I think people either don't know about 1619, the importance of that date, or they just don't feel the need, feel that it has anything to do with states outside of Virginia.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that they don't know that much about it.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the reasons that I thought that this would be important to talk about Jamestown now, and that you would be the most important person to talk about that, because I think you have the ability to see it from not only a religious point of view, but also from a labor point and a legal point of view.
Exactly.
And the importance of Africans.
You have to understand that Jamestown 1619 is not about simply Virginia. It's not about local history or regional history. It's about national history.
That's right.
It's not simply about black history. It's about American
history. That's right.
And once we realize that, and I'm hoping that this celebration will catch on in churches and educational institutions around the country, other institutions, because 1619 is the beginning of the black presence in America.